The breaking point. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the observation deck of the Galactic Concordat headquarters, watching the swirling nebula that served as the backdrop for this supposedly neutral diplomatic ground. 30 years of human representation in galactic politics had culminated in this moment. Her dark eyes reflected the distant stars, but her jaw was set in a hardness that betrayed her calm exterior. "Commander, they're ready for us," said Lieutenant Park, her aide, interrupting her thoughts. Elena nodded. "Let's get this over with." The Concordat chamber was a massive amphitheater designed to accommodate representatives from over 200 spacefaring species. At the center, a circular platform hovered, surrounded by the tiered seating of the member races. The 7 elder species occupied the highest positions: the spider-like arachnids, the crystalline luminals, the gaseous void drifters, the aquatic Marrakesh, the silicon-based Petravians, the hive-minded Scuttle, and the reptilian Saurians who currently held the position of High Speaker. High Speaker Vrex, a towering Saurian with emerald scales that shimmered under the chamber lights, acknowledged Elena with a slight nod as she took her position on the platform. "The Concordat recognizes the representative of Terra," Vrex announced, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. "We have reviewed your petition for access to the newly discovered hyperspace lanes in the Sagittarius Arm. The Concordat has reached its decision." Elena already knew the answer. The intelligence operatives from Earth's Shadow Division had intercepted the communication days ago. But protocol demanded she stand here and receive the official rejection. "The petition is denied," Vrex continued. "The Concordat finds that humanity has not demonstrated sufficient technological maturity or diplomatic stability to be granted access to these strategic pathways." A murmur rippled through the chamber. The Saurian's tail swished in satisfaction. "May I inquire as to the specific metrics used to determine technological maturity?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the anger building inside her. "Humanity has fulfilled every requirement outlined in Section 7 of the Concordat Charter regarding hyperspace access." Vrex's reptilian eyes narrowed. "The metrics are determined by the Elder Council, Commander Reyes. We need not justify our assessments to junior species." There it was, the same condescension that humans had endured for 3 decades. Despite contributing significant scientific advances, despite their military assistance during the Axis incursion, despite becoming the Concordat's primary food producers, humans were still considered junior species, children to be patted on the head and kept from the adult table. "I see," Elena said. She glanced at Lieutenant Park, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. The signal had been sent. "Then I believe we have nothing further to discuss." "Your disappointment is noted, Commander," Vrex said, already turning his attention to the next agenda item. "The Concordat will now address the petition from the Marrakesh regarding water rights in the—" "High Speaker," Elena interrupted, a breach of protocol that caused gasps throughout the chamber. "You misunderstand. This isn't disappointment. This is goodbye." The chamber fell silent. "What do you mean, Commander?" Vrex asked, his voice dropping to a dangerous growl. "Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Concordat. All human representatives, businesses, military assets, and civilians will be recalled from Concordat space within 48 hours. All treaties, trade agreements, and defense pacts between human worlds and Concordat members are hereby terminated." The silence erupted into chaos. Representatives jumped to their feet, shouting questions and objections. The Marrakesh ambassador, a being who resembled a humanoid dolphin, approached Elena with webbed hands outstretched. "Commander Reyes, you cannot be serious. The agricultural colonies in the Proxima system provide 60% of our nutritional needs. I suggest you find alternative sources, Ambassador," Elena replied. "Effective immediately means exactly that." High Speaker Vrex slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor, the sound reverberating throughout the chamber. "Silence," he roared. When order was restored, he fixed Elena with a cold stare. "Commander Reyes, this theatrical display is beneath the dignity of this chamber. Humanity cannot simply withdraw. The economic repercussions alone would devastate your worlds. Elena smiled for the first time. We've been preparing for this day for 10 years, High Speaker. Project Exodus isn't a bluff. It's a contingency plan that has been in place since the Concordat first denied us colony rights beyond our solar system. She turned to address the entire chamber. For 30 years, we've been treated as second-class citizens of this galaxy. We've contributed technology, resources, and lives to the Concordat's causes, only to be denied equal standing. We've warned you about the approaching void stream, a cosmic phenomenon that threatens all life in this sector, only to have our scientists dismissed as alarmists. Elena's voice rose with passion. Humanity will no longer serve a system that does not serve us. We're taking our ball and going home, as the old saying goes. With that, she stepped off the platform and walked toward the exit, Lieutenant Park at her side. Behind them, the chamber descended into pandemonium. Begin the countdown, Elena whispered into her comm device as the massive doors closed behind them. Across Concordat space, a carefully orchestrated exodus began. On Centauri Prime, the massive human-operated hydroponic farms that fed billions across 17 worlds initiated shutdown procedures. In the shipyards of Epsilon Eridani, human engineers abandoned their posts, leaving half-constructed vessels without the expertise to complete them. On hundreds of worlds, human merchants closed their shops, human doctors left their hospitals, and human teachers emptied their classrooms. The military withdrawal was even more dramatic. Admiral Jackson Chen, commander of the 7th Fleet, which had protected the vulnerable CD sector for 15 years, received the coded message while in the middle of a defensive exercise. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Execute protocol homeward bound. I repeat, execute protocol homeward bound. The 57 warships of the 7th Fleet immediately broke formation and entered hyperspace, leaving the CD sector unprotected for the first time in decades. Similar scenes played out across Concordat space as human military assets vanished within hours. On New Terra, the largest human colony and agricultural center of the Concordat, Governor Maya Okafor addressed her people from the steps of the Colonial Administration building. Citizens of New Terra, the time has come. For generations, we have tilled this soil and made it bloom, feeding not only ourselves but countless billions across Concordat space. Today, we leave this bounty behind and return to our ancestral home. The ships are waiting. Bring only what you can carry. We depart at dawn. By the 48-hour mark, over 97% of humans had been evacuated from Concordat territory. The few who remained were either married to non-humans or had chosen to stay for personal reasons. Back on Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Alejandro Vega received regular updates on the exodus. All military assets accounted for, Mr. President, reported Defense Secretary Kwan. Civilian evacuation at 97% and rising. Project Exodus is proceeding on schedule. And Project Horizon? The President asked. Dr. Sophia Mbeki, the chief scientist, stepped forward. The gateway is operational, sir. The first colony ships have already passed through to the target location. Construction of habitation domes is underway. President Vega nodded, his expression solemn. Then we've burned our bridges with the Concordat. There's no going back now. Sir, interrupted General Ramirez, we're detecting increased activity from the elder species fleets. The Saurians have dispatched warships to the edge of our space. Let them come, Vega said. They'll find nothing but automated defenses and empty colonies. By the time they figure out what's happening, it will be too late. In the Concordat chamber, the Elder Council met in emergency session. High Speaker Vrex paced the platform, his tail lashing in agitation. This is unprecedented, he hissed. No species has ever withdrawn from the Concordat. The humans must be taught a lesson. I propose a military blockade of Terra until they reconsider this foolishness. The luminal representative, a being of pure light and crystal, flickered in disagreement. The humans have removed all their assets from our space without violence. A military response would violate our own charter. Besides, added the arachnid representative, clicking his mandibles nervously, preliminary reports suggest they've done something unexpected with their colonies. New Terra is empty. Completely empty. Not just of people, but of all portable technology, livestock, seed banks, everything of value. What of their warnings about this void stream? Asked the Marrakesh ambassador. Could their withdrawal be related? Vrex dismissed the concern with a wave of his clawed hand. More human dramatics. Their scientists claim this cosmic phenomenon will disrupt hyperspace travel and communications, possibly even breach into normal space, with catastrophic consequences. Our own scientists have found no evidence to support this. Nevertheless, the luminal representative pulsed. The timing is concerning. If the humans truly believe this threat is imminent, their withdrawal may be a form of self-preservation. Let them hide, Vrex sneered. When their economies collapse without concordat trade, they'll return, begging for readmission on any terms we set. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the humans showed no signs of economic collapse. Instead, strange reports began to filter in from the fringes of human space. Massive energy signatures, visible even from distant observation posts. New structures appearing in orbit around Earth and Mars. And most disturbing of all, the complete disappearance of some human colonies, not just evacuated, but gone entirely, as if they had never existed. The Concordat had gravely miscalculated. They had contained humanity only in the physical sense. They had never understood the human spirit. And now, free from the Concordat's restrictions, humanity was about to change the galaxy forever. The Reckoning. 6 months after humanity's dramatic exodus from the Galactic Concordat, the consequences were becoming increasingly apparent. The once mighty Interstellar alliance was fragmenting under the strain of economic disruption and resource shortages. In the grand central marketplace of Concordat Station Alpha, Trillax, a Marrakesh merchant, stared dismally at his empty stalls. Once filled with vibrant earth fruits and vegetables, they now displayed only withered alternatives from less hospitable worlds. Another day, another riot, muttered his neighbor, a Petravian crystal carver who had switched to food sales when luxury goods stopped selling. 3 dead in Sector 7 over the last shipment of wheat substitutes. Trillax sighed, his gill slits fluttering in distress. The Concordat promised alternative sources would be established within weeks. It's been 6 months. The Concordat promises many things, the Petravian replied bitterly. Yesterday they increased the military budget again while cutting food subsidies. More warships won't feed hungry mouths. Such conversations were occurring throughout Concordat space. Without human agricultural production, food prices had skyrocketed. Without human engineers, many advanced technologies were failing without proper maintenance. The carefully balanced ecosystem of interspecies cooperation was collapsing. High Speaker Vrex, however, remained convinced of the Concordat's superiority. In his private chambers on the Saurian homeworld, he received the latest intelligence report from his spymaster. The human colonies in the Alpha Centauri system have vanished, reported Slith, his trusted advisor. Vanished. You mean evacuated? No, High Speaker. Vanished. Our long-range scans show no trace of the orbital habitats or surface structures. It's as if they dismantled everything down to the foundations. Vrex's reptilian eyes narrowed, and Terra itself. Heavily fortified but still present. They've constructed a defensive perimeter unlike anything we've ever seen. Energy readings suggest weapons capabilities far beyond what they displayed as Concordat members. They were hiding their true technological level from us. Vrex hissed, a violation of Concordat law. There's more, Slith continued. Our deep space probes have detected unusual energy signatures beyond the Orion Arm. It appears the humans have established something there, something massive. Beyond the Orion Arm, that's impossible. The distance is too great for conventional travel, and there are no hyperspace lanes mapped in that region. Nevertheless, the evidence suggests they found a way. And according to intercepted communications, they're calling it New Horizon. Vrex slammed his fist on the table. I want a battle fleet assembled immediately. It's time to show these upstart primates the consequences of defying the Concordat. But before Vrex could mobilize his fleet, the crisis he had dismissed as human dramatics arrived. The void stream, a cosmic phenomenon that humans had warned about for years, breached into normal space at the edge of Concordat territory. The void stream wasn't merely a disruption of hyperspace, as humans had publicly claimed. It was a tear in the fabric of space-time itself, allowing matter and energy from another dimension to spill into our universe. The effect was catastrophic. The first system it encountered, a minor-scale colony world, was completely obliterated within hours. Emergency signals flooded the Concordat communication network as the void stream advanced through Concordat space, consuming everything in its path. The elder species, for all their technological advancement, found their weapons ineffective against this extra-dimensional intrusion. In a hastily convened emergency session, even high-speaker Vrex could no longer deny the reality of the situation. The humans were right, admitted the luminal representative, its crystalline form dimmed with concern. They warned us repeatedly about the void stream, provided data, suggested defensive measures, all of which we ignored. Can we contact them? Asked the arachnid representative. They seem to understand this phenomenon better than we do. Vrex's pride warred visibly with his instinct for survival. The Concordat does not beg for help, he began, but was interrupted by the entrance of a junior aide. High speaker, we're receiving a transmission from human space. The massive screen in the chamber activated, revealing the face of President Alejandro Vega, speaking from what appeared to be an advanced command center. Members of the Concordat, I'll be brief. We've been monitoring the void stream's progress since its emergence. At its current rate of expansion, it will reach the core worlds of the Concordat within 2 weeks. From there, nothing will stop it from eventually consuming the entire galaxy. Why contact us now, human? Vrex demanded. To gloat over your foresight. Vega's expression remained impassive. No, High Speaker. Despite our differences, we don't wish to see trillions of sentient beings perish. We're offering assistance. A murmur ran through the chamber. What kind of assistance? Asked the Marrakesh ambassador. We've developed technology that can seal the breach, Vega explained. But it requires deployment from multiple vectors simultaneously. We have ships positioned on our side of the galaxy, but we need the Concordat to grant us access to deploy the remainder of our fleet through your territory. And in return, Vrex asked suspiciously. In return, we ask for a renegotiation of humanity's status in galactic affairs, not as supplicants, not as junior members, but as equals. Additionally, unrestricted access to all hyperspace lanes for human vessels. Before Vrex could respond with his habitual refusal, the luminal representative flared brightly. We accept your terms, President Vega. The Concordat formally requests humanity's assistance in this crisis. Despite Vrex's protests, the vote was overwhelming. Even the Saurians' traditional allies recognized the existential threat posed by the void stream. Within hours, human ships began arriving in Concordat space through previously unknown hyperspace entries. They were unlike any vessels the Concordat races had seen before. Sleek, asymmetrical designs with technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics as understood by even the elder species. On the bridge of the flagship Humanity's Hope, Admiral Chen coordinated the massive operation. All ships in position, reported his tactical officer. Void anchors ready for deployment. Begin the sequence, Chen ordered. Around the expanding edge of the void stream, 27 human vessels took position. From each ship, a specialized device was launched directly into the chaotic boundary between dimensions. As each void anchor activated, it established a stable point in space-time, creating a framework that began to seal the breach. In the Concordat chamber, Representatives watched in awe as the seemingly unstoppable cosmic disaster was systematically contained and then reduced by human technology. "How is this possible?" whispered Vrex to his aide. Their technological level was assessed as barely above threshold for interstellar civilization when they joined the Concordat. "It seems they'd been busy since then," the aide replied. After 3 days of continuous operation, the void stream was completely sealed. The human fleet regrouped at a safe distance from the former breach, while President Vega once again addressed the Concordat. "The immediate danger has passed," he announced. "We've stabilized the breach, though the affected systems are unfortunately lost. We estimate it will take approximately 100 years for the dimensional energies to dissipate enough for those regions to become habitable again." "The Concordat owes humanity a debt of gratitude," acknowledged the luminal representative. "And as agreed, we are prepared to discuss new terms for human participation in galactic affairs." Vega nodded. "We look forward to those discussions. But first, I believe there's something you should see." The view on the screen changed, showing what appeared to be a massive artificial structure floating in space. It resembled a ring, but with intricate geometries that seemed to fold into dimensions beyond normal perception. "This is New Horizon," Vega explained, "what you might call our insurance policy. When we left the Concordat, we didn't just withdraw, we expanded. This gateway has allowed us to establish colonies in a region of space unreachable by conventional means or known hyperspace lanes." "Impossible," breathed Vrex. "Such technology would require understanding of principles beyond current Concordat science." Vega finished for him. "Yes, we've had these breakthroughs for decades, but your prejudice against junior species prevented us from sharing them. Now we're willing to share again, but only as equals." The silence in the Concordat chamber was profound. The balance of power had shifted irreversibly. 3 days later, in a historic ceremony, the Galactic Concordat was dissolved and reformed as the Interstellar Alliance, with humanity as a founding member with equal status to the former elder species. The new charter explicitly prohibited discrimination based on a species' time and space, emphasizing contribution and cooperation instead. As Commander Alina Rice signed the charter on behalf of humanity, she reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. From being dismissed as upstart primates to saving the galaxy and reshaping its political structure, all because they refused to accept second-class status. Sometimes, she remarked to Lieutenant Park as they left the ceremony, "You have to leave the table to be invited back as an equal guest." Park smiled. "Or to build a better table." Across the reformed alliance, humans began returning: scientists, engineers, farmers, and diplomats, bringing with them the technologies and knowledge they had kept hidden during their years of restriction. The New Horizon Gateway became the first of many, opening up regions of the galaxy previously thought unreachable. And on distant Earth, in the underground command center where Project Exodus had been conceived, President Vega updated the final entry in the operation log. Project Exodus, complete. Project Alliance, begun.